Hey everyone, hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today we're going to be talking about ball python breeding or reptile breeding in general as I go over 5 tips or 5 topics that I think one should consider if they're looking to getting into ball python breeding or reptile breeding in general, as many of these topics kind of coincide with one another and they'll work in most any breeding application. So stick around. I'm Jack. This is Python Addiction. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. I have my boy Brewster here with me today as we discuss 5 different topics that I think are important for anyone that's getting into reptile breeding in general. We'll say this is going to be more pertaining to ball python breeding, as that's what I do, but these topics can apply to pretty much any type of reptile breeding. And in case you're wondering, this boy is Enchi Fire Calico 100% Ghost. He's a beautiful boy that I got from Twisted Reptile. But he's going to be hanging out with me today. So, with the 2024 breeding season well underway, I've already gotten several locks, and I'm excited about those possibilities. And it's that excitement that kind of led me into wanting to talk about today's topic to begin with, as I know some of you may be considering getting into breeding or may have already started breeding. So that's kind of why I wanted to talk about these 5 different topics. And I don't have them in any particular order, so I'm just going to kind of start right off with one of the bigger ones that I think uh, out of these and that is networking. And I think that you should focus on networking as one of the most important things, is that helps for you to get yourself out there. That helps others to know who you are. It's one of the big troubles, the hardest things that you'll find as a reptile breeder is finding homes for your offspring. And networking is the easiest way, I think, to help establish those relationships and connections to being able to find homes for what you produce. So if you're not getting yourself known in the community, then it's going to be that much more difficult when you actually have babies to sell of finding new homes for them. So the other aspect of things on why networking is important is you establish other relationships with other entities within the community. Because in the reptile breeding aspect of the community, you also have people who breed rodents, for example, that are very closely knit in the community. And doing that networking, you can establish your connections with a few of the rodent breeders and stuff like that. You can connect up with people who might have access to cork bark supplies or other things that you might need if you breed your own rodents, the supplies that you might need to breed your rodents. So, networking, it's a great opportunity to get yourself known so people know who you are. It's also a great way to make connections with other breeders to where you can get beautiful babies like this to add to your collection and to your breeding projects. And you can do this locally or nationally. One of the easiest ways to do some networking, aside from using social media, is to go to some of your local and, if you can, some of the national shows. I do say local as that's going to kind of play off into the next topic as a important aspect of things. This leads right into the next topic, and that is plan for local or plan local. And I'm not saying that you can't use Morph Market or anything like that to do shipping of animals and everything like that, but it's always a good thing to look at the local side of things to see what local resources you have available, and to also try to be able to establish a good local market, as that's going to be your best option when it comes to finding new homes for your babies, is starting off on that local side of things. Like with the networking aspect of things, learning where some of those shops are and everything like that will help establish having that local connection. Having that local connection is also a good thing when it comes to things like your breeding rodents and stuff like that. If you're not planning on breeding yourself, it's always a good thing to have a few different options for local breeders in hand. And it's even important if you do breed. And we'll get into that on another show. I'll do another video on the actual rodent breeding aspect of things. But it's a good thing to have that local connection of people who you're with. It's also making sure that you know locally who your vets are in the area that deal with exotics, or doing that research to find out if you have to travel an hour for a vet. That's understandable. You're going to have to travel an hour, because I know that not every place has a vet local to that particular city or township. But it's getting that information in advance and planning to try to collect as much as you can for your breeding aspects of things on the local side, as that's going to be your cheapest option most of the time. Next, record keeping. And when I say record keeping, I'm more specifically talking about the husbandry records. Things like sheds, things like feeding, things like pairings, etc., etc. And I have to say that this can be a touchy subject to some people, because there's so many different methods. As we're approaching 2024, there's so many different options that you can use. Don't just be one of those that keeps it in your brain. We all do forget, and that's the last thing that you need. If somebody comes and asks for certain information, you keep it all in your head and you forget. How are you going to respond to that request then? So keeping the information tracked, record keeping, is very important. And I'm going to give a real world example to this, because I reached out this past summer to Nerd regarding to a pairing of a particular male that was produced by them. And before I show you what I'm going to show you, I do want to say that I do have a ton of respect for Kevin and everything that he does there, but I was a little bit disappointed when I got this response to my email. And as you can see from the email, they don't keep records for past seasons. And yes, I did find this to be very shocking, to say the least. So, what I'm trying to say is, don't be like Nerd. It's very easy to keep records of the simple stuff, the feedings, the pairings, the breeding behaviors or locks and pairings and stuff like that. You can use a composition notebook. You can use a spreadsheet from Google Docs or Excel or name your choice spreadsheet software, or you can use a method like I use and use an actual tracking app. I use Husbandry.pro, as all of you know. And speaking of that, if you're interested in giving them a try, be sure to look in the description below and you'll get a link for a free 30-day trial. But the point that I'm trying to get at here is that there are many different and low-cost options to keeping records and making sure that they're available for someone who might ask, because they can get something weird that comes up in a pairing that they're doing, and having that pairing information that you had from when you did the pairing could be very helpful to them. So it's a good practice to get into in advance. This next topic can be filled with a little bit of controversy, and I'm okay with that. I have my opinions, and I'm going to share my viewpoint on this particular topic. And if you guys have a differing view, please do put it in the comments below. I'd like to hear your viewpoint on this. And that is breeding with a purpose and breeding what you like. I see this daily when browsing through feeds on things like Facebook and stuff like that of what should I pair this with or that with. And I think this is something that you should avoid. I think you should avoid asking other people's opinions on what you should pair. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing, because maybe you're just learning and you want to know what's good and what's not good. I have a couple of suggestions. And once again, these are my suggestions. If you don't like them, that's perfectly fine. But if you do like them, please take them and follow them. The very first suggestion that I have is don't breed your normal if you have a normal. Even if that's the only animal you currently have and you just want to experience doing the breeding once and you'll never want to do it again, don't breed your normal. Breeders, and I'll say this as a breeder myself, often have the hardest time finding homes for normals. We have a hard time giving them away sometimes. So it's one of those that normals tend to be the bottom of the barrel. They're pets only for the most part, so you're not going to get breeders who might be interested in them. So they're generally, they sit around for a lot longer in your collection as you're trying to find homes for them and making sure that they're not going to someone who might just buy them super cheap to feed them off to one of their snake eating animals. That's not something that I enjoy the prospect of. So it's something really big to consider. But here is my secondary option, and it plays off from option number one. That is, go to a site like Morph Market. Find what you like. Like, for example, if you like this Enchi, Ghost, Fire, and Enchi, Ghost, Fire, and I forget, hold on. I gotta look at his card. Enchi, Calico. I always forget the Calico in him. So if you wanted to make something like Brewster here, you can find right on Morph Market, using their genetics calculator, various methods of getting or producing something like him. Using him again as the example, you would need to find two snakes, a male and a female, that were either both het for Ghost, or one visual, one het, or both visuals. One of them would need to have Enchi in it. One of them would need to have fire in it, and one of them would need to have calico in it. And you can have any combination thereof of those other main genes. The only requirements are minimally the het on both sides in order to get that visual ghost. But you can look up on Morph Market, find your favorite snake. Just find it. It might take a day, it might take a week, it might take a month. You might find several favorites. Trust me, I know the feeling. I have several favorites that are on there myself. But look for something that you like, and then look at the actual genetics that are listed on the actual listing, and then go put that into the calculator and find out what you need to make it yourself. That will tell you right there what you need to get in order to make that as the end result, instead of asking other people what to pair or what not to pair or anything like that. Just find it for yourself. And it's the fact of doing the research that's the fun part and the important part of that whole process. So this now leads into number 5, the last thing on my list. After breeding with a purpose and breeding what you like is having patience and not rushing. Breeding ball pythons is not a get-rich scheme at all. It's not something that's going to make you millions and millions of dollars. It's not something that should be rushed. Just because you have a snake that's at breeding weight and breeding age doesn't necessarily mean that you actually have to breed it right then and there. It's okay to have patience and have a plan. Make sure that you have everything that you actually need, and make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you want to learn more about what it is that you would need for the actual breeding aspect of things, as I will be having another video coming out soon just on that topic. But what I'm getting at again is breeding is not something that you should just rush into. It should be thought out and researched and planned for. And that's for the safety of your snakes. That's also for you to be able to have the best experience and the best opportunity for success in your breeding efforts. So those are the 5 different things that I think you should take into consideration about breeding a ball pythons or any other reptiles. Again, many of the different options that I spoke about today apply to all different reptiles when it comes to captive breeding. So tell me in the comments below what your thoughts are on these topics. Do you have any other topic suggestions that you think I should discuss about? Let me know what you think down below. And if you liked today's video and you found it informative, please take a moment and hit that thumbs up button and let me know that you liked this video, as that does help out. And also, while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and that notification icon, as that'll let you know when I do new videos. I tend to do new videos at least once a week. Also, if you're interested in supporting this channel further, consider joining my Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can actually access additional information and content, discussions, and you even get access to my Discord, to where you can message me directly if you want to chat with me directly to get a little bit more information, like on today's video or something like that. And again, that's all as little as $1 a month. There's several different plans available for support, and I thank you in advance. And thank you to all who do support me via Patreon. So thanks for joining me today, and until next time, I'm Jack. This is my boy Brewster, and this is Python Addiction.